Welcome to Bleed Blue, the SWOSU Athletics podcast, bringing you interviews and insights from around Southwestern Oklahoma State University.
Just tried to outwork people, and that's kind of the way I approached it, and that's the way I was raised, just work hard, and had a lot of great teammates and things like that, guys that were probably a lot more talented than me, and I got some awards because of them, but you know, I was just proud to be a Bulldog and try to be a good teammate.
Be in attack mode for 90.
Southwestern get behind this Cowboy. Looking here.
Touchdown, Bulldog!
Around here, we bleed blue.
Now here's your host, Haley Tucker.
What's going on, Bulldog Nation? I'm Haley Tucker, and I'm your host for the newest SWOSU Athletics podcast, Bleed Blue. And our first ever guest for this podcast is Interim Athletic Director Todd Helton. And Coach Helton, let's just get right into it. We're just going to talk about, COVID-19 has made the situation here at SWOSU really tough. Kind of just talk about what you're feeling, what you're doing here for the Bulldogs this year.
All right, we'll dive right in. It's good to see you, Haley. Very proud of everything you've accomplished, and glad that you're able to help us out with this new venture that we're looking at.
Coach Helton, that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. I'm going to take that real quick and put it to my heart. But yeah, what's going on here? So, you're the new athletic director, you're interim athletic director, and you're kind of coming in at a crazy time right now.
Yeah, not exactly what I expected when I came in, but like everyone else, it's been crazy for us. I guess to recap, what happened, we were feeling pretty good in August, early August, thinking that we were going to be able to have our fall seasons, and there were going to be a lot of regulations, and we were going to have to probably limit crowds, and we were going through plans A, B, and C, and everything that we were going to have to do to make it safe for athletes, but we're still planning on playing. Well, on about August 5th, the NCAA came out with some mandates that were guidelines that were turned into mandates, and so some liability issues and some testing mandates made it real difficult for some Division II institutions to continue with their fall sports. And the next day, on August 6th, I believe, the fall sports were canceled, by the NCAA. So that included our football, volleyball, cross country, and our soccer teams. So we had all those canceled. So we had to develop a plan and see if we could find a way to still compete in the fall. But we just never found a way to do that safely for our athletes and to meet all the mandates and meet the liability requirements. So on the 14th of August, we actually announced that we were going to postpone. And we were there's 23 D2 institutions. I think we're number 22 that finally threw in the towel. So we fought it as long as we could, but we just feel like it's going to be better to move everything to the spring.
And, as a former athlete myself, I feel for all those athletes that don't get to have a fall season this year. And you're a former athlete yourself, a former All-American for the Bulldogs. I want to know more about Todd Helton as an athlete. I know you as a big sports guy and everything, but I want to know about your athletic side, Coach Helton. Kind of tell me, about your playing days and why you really chose SWOSU as your school.
Okay, well, I came to, that's a while back. Let's see if I can remember that far back. Right?
It's not that far back.
When I played here from 1986 to 1989. So, wow, long time ago. we didn't wear leather helmets back then. We actually had, plastic helmets. And, but anyway, I came to Southwestern. Paul Sharp was his first year at Southwestern, and I was one of the first recruits that he brought in. One of my best friends from high school, we both committed to Southwestern. Didn't know if I would be here or not. Had some friends here, and just really enjoyed the university. Cecil Perkins was a big influence in becoming the Southwestern as well, the athletic director. He had coached some good friends of mine back from Perryton, Texas, where I'm from. And so Cecil had been in contact with me. So between Cecil and Coach Sharp, they kind of paved the way for me to come to Southwestern.
And, you talk about the late 80s right there. So you didn't have all the newer gyms that we have, the wellness center. You guys didn't have that back then. So talk about how it's such a different dynamic today with recruiting, with everything like that. Back in the day, you didn't have stuff like that.
Right. We have reunions and everything where a bunch of guys from the 80s and 90s come back. And it's real enjoyable to have those guys around because they understand what we came from, and how much better it is now in the facilities that we have available to athletes now, and they really appreciate it. And compared to what they had when they were here, so that happens a lot during the reunions. But we've been able to do a lot of great things for the athletes. The Pioneer Cellular Event Center is probably top of that list. And we're still, the new weight room that has been installed, and then everything that's happened out of our athletic complex. That was just a vacant field back in the 80s. We didn't have turf on our field. We played in Rankin Williams Fieldhouse. Didn't even have volleyball or softball or a lot of the sports that we have now. So there's so many changes, and we hope to just keep building on those improvements.
And then I want to get to know the real Todd Helton. That's what I said earlier. So kind of tell me, if you could compare yourself to an athlete that you've either coached or that you've seen over the years. I mean, it could be from the 2019 women's basketball team, whatever. But tell me how you were as an athlete. Who were you inside of a locker room?
Oh, I was not a big rah-rah guy, believe that or not. Everybody has problems about that. But I was, one of those guys who just tried to work hard, tried to get the most out of my ability. Wasn't that talented, but just tried to outwork people. And that's kind of the way I approached it. And that's the way I was raised, just work hard, and had a lot of great teammates and things like that, guys that were probably a lot more talented than me. And I got some awards because of them. But I was just proud to be a Bulldog and try to be a good teammate. So
I think you may be the first All-American to ever say I wasn't that talented. But you also were a coach for the Bulldogs. You coached us to a national championship. Can you kind of talk to me about that season, kind of some of the memories that you have from that season?
Yeah, 1996 was a crazy year. Never forget it. It was both, tragedy and triumph. Everything happened in that year. I think everybody may know the story, but we had 4 student athletes, that were killed in a car wreck during that season. 3 basketball players and 1 of our football players, Alvin Milton. And it happened after a East Central football game, and they were on their way back from Oklahoma City, and so it devastated our football team. Obviously, it devastated our campus. It was something that we'll never forget. but it also brought us together. It brought that team together like no other team I've ever been around. They bonded and went on to accomplish great things. And maybe not the most talented team we've ever had, but obviously the most team-oriented team that we've ever had. And they had a bond that couldn't be broken, and I never will forget that. And it's not always talent. It's if you're a family, if you're truly a family, you can accomplish great things, and that's what that team did. So had some great players on it, but they were the number one ingredient was that they were a family.
And with that team as well, you guys got to play two of your playoff games actually in Weatherford and against a rival today, but I'm not sure about back then. So can you kind of talk about, how it was to be able to play those two games in Weatherford?
Yeah, we actually played Northwestern twice. So we played them at the end of the regular season, and then we played them in the first round of the playoffs. No, but Northwestern's always been the rival for years and years. So it was a very heated rivalry back in that day. But it's always it was great to play those games here. The community supported it, great. We had to pull in bleachers into the end zones. I remember that was back when we did not have turf field, so we painted the grass. It was in November, so we had to paint the grass green, and it was unique, but just a great time, and always lucky that and grateful that we came out on top.
So talk about that team, the 1996 team, compared to one of our more recent teams who are good. I picture Coach Kokenauer's team with Mark Evans as quarterback. I picture that the throw to Bricker in the end zone to win the game. Those are the kind of teams that I remember with my days in SWOSU. So do you think your 1996 team, how would they compete against a now team with SWOSU?
Oh, I'm sure those guys would say they would win. Everybody gets better the older you get. You know that. You'll learn that. Everybody was great 20 years ago. But, man, I don't know. I'm not going to predict that one, man. Great teams. I think our teams from those eras can hold their own. Football's changed. Football's wide open, spread out, a lot more speed. Back in the day, it was pound it and 3 yards and a cloud of dust, things like that. And people ran the eye at you and had two backs, and we had 250-pound linebackers, and so football's changed a lot. So it's hard to compare different eras, but they're both great teams. Wouldn't want to take anything away from either one.
Very diplomatic answer right there, Coach Helton. Love it. But honestly, I've seen a picture from your playing days. I didn't recognize you, Coach. I mean, you are a different person than you were in college. So talk about that. I want to know more about your playing days. What position did you play? What kind of person were you on the field? I know I asked about the locker room, but I want to know, did you talk smack on the field? What did you do out there, Coach Helton?
Oh, man. You want to know it all, don't you, lady?
I do.
No, I was not. I was a lineman, so my goal was to eat as much food as I could possibly eat during those days, and to keep my weight up. So I was actually, when I came to college, I was pretty tall and skinny, so I had to work hard to keep weight on, but I got it on. So I was over 300 pounds there for a while, but lost that weight, and but was definitely I was one of those guys that was mild-mannered, but when I got on the field, I tried to flip the switch, and was probably a little more aggressive when I was on the field for sure. So might have been a little smack talking out there, yeah. But
I love it. Love
not off the field. Not off the field. Just on.
I love that. And then also, you did go to Southwestern. We've already talked about that. about your academic side. I know that you're a very smart guy. You're obviously our interim athletic director. Kind of talk about how academics may have changed in the recruiting process with that as well.
Yeah, when I came to Southwestern, I had I majored in kinesiology and got a master's degree in education from Southwestern as well. So, that the academics at Southwestern has always been top notch, in my opinion. Even back, I've been here since the late 80s and I've recruited here as a coach for 30 years before I stepped into administration. And I always felt confident going into homes of student athletes and singing the praises of our academic departments at Southwestern. With our pharmacy department, is one of the top 5 in the country. Obviously we're very proud of that. Our sciences, our education department, our business department, we have more accredited departments and majors than any regional university in Oklahoma. So very proud of the academics that are available here at Southwestern, and it's always been that way. It's been that way since I've been here. So it will continue to be that way.
And we talked earlier about some of the facilities that we do have on campus, and I remember playing in the Pioneer Cellular and looking around and seeing, all these fans in support of Bulldog basketball. Other, football stands are always packed. What can you say about the fans here that we have in Weatherford?
Yeah, they're second to none. They're great. I always tell people this is a college town. When we play football on Saturday or we have a basketball doubleheader, I mean, it's the hottest ticket in town. It's where everybody wants to be, and they're going to come out and support you. So it's been that way for a long time, and because of athletes like you and others that we've had, our community is over the top in support of all of our athletic teams, and we're very fortunate to have that.
And since I've left, I've heard some smack talk from some of the people at Southwestern asking if one-on-one me or Kelly Lynch who would win. I'm getting a little frustrated over here because I've heard a lot of Kelly Lynch's for the winner. So I want to know what you would think, Coach Helton. No pressure or anything, but
you're putting me on the spot here.
I have to.
No, I would love to see that. I would love to see that. I would pay money to see that. So you think we can talk Kelly into coming out of retirement, maybe?
She'd probably still be. She's tough. Kelly Lynch. She's probably in better shape than I am.
I will say this: she had some records that I never thought anybody would even get close to, much less break. But you got really close on some, so that's really saying something. You got really close, and it was a different era again. Basketball was different when she started than when you did. So. But yeah, I would pay money to see it though. If we could set that up, maybe we could sell tickets on.
Well, thanks for tiptoeing around that and saving my feelings, because I know you probably have Kelly Lynch on your mind right there for the winner. But also, we talk about Kelly Lynch. We talk about some of these great teams that we've had over in Southwestern. When you think about SWOSU Athletics, when you think about a specific team, what's the biggest memory that you have, from a national championship team or, a great season that a team had? What sticks out to you in your mind?
Oh, yeah. I mean, personally, from my background, football, the 96 season, it's hard to beat, winning a national championship. So that would have to be up there. The season that you experienced with your teammates in women's basketball, I mean, that was, in recent memory, that was unbelievable. The run that y'all made, and I tell people we were one rebound away from the national championship, but I'm sure that's hard to swallow still. But yeah, that was so special, the run that y'all had. and Coach Music and Coach Anderson, and the job that they did was super. Coach Kokenauer, the bowl game that we went to with him was stands out as a great event for Southwestern, able to bring the band and the banquets and things that was special for our student athletes. Some of the other playoff experiences that we've had with our baseball teams and our soccer teams, those have been very, something that we can tip our hat to is really great things for our student athletes to get to experience. Our rodeo programs, I've been here back when Doc Mitchell was the coach and they were winning national championships, so individual championships and everything. So there's been a lot of big moments in rodeo as well. And we already talked about the Kelly Lynch era, so that record they had was unbelievable. So it's been a lot.
And with all those great players, great teams, we've had some great players move on to the next level, go professional. Trayvon Hartfield, he played for the Arizona Cardinals or was a practice player there. Joe Blumenthal, I know that he had tryouts for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I just want to know, did you ever have an opportunity like that to move on to the next level? I mean, as an All-American, you were pretty good.
Oh yeah, I went to a couple of training camps and didn't work out. It was a little bit different during those days. Didn't have quite as many people allowed in camps and things like that, and they didn't take linemen in the Canadian Football League at those times, and so I felt like my best bet was to stay in the sport I loved and be able to coach and pursue that. So, but anyway, it just didn't work out. But I'm happy where I ended up.
And so, did you go directly back to Southwestern, or did you have any time in any different areas, or did you come right back to the Bulldogs?
Yeah, I came right back to Bulldogs. Finished up my degree. I was a student assistant for one semester, and then I started to be a graduate assistant. I was a graduate assistant for 2 years, and then I was hired on full time as a defensive line coach at Southwestern, and I did that. I think I coached for 24 years and eventually became the defensive coordinator for about 10 of those years. And after that, when Kelly Lynch retired, I was able to take over the assistant athletics director and compliance. And I've done that for about 6 years and just started the interim AD job this summer. So I've kind of done every job along the way, from student athlete, student assistant, to graduate assistant, to an assistant, a coordinator, been an assistant AD, and now the athletic director. So I feel like I know where everybody's been and some of the responsibilities they have, and been in their shoes. I've been on those long bus rides. I've been in homes recruiting kids, and so I understand what we need here and what our coaches need to be successful.
And so, Coach, you've been with Southwestern longer than I've been alive.
Thanks a lot.
Not to put any age out there, but what makes you the biggest Bulldog fan? I mean, this podcast is called Bleed Blue. What makes you bleed blue?
Oh wow! What makes me bleed blue is just the people that I get to work with over the years. My mentors who helped me grow from a skinny little high school kid into an adult. So, just the relationships I had with all the players I've coached over the years, and that bond that we have together because we can all say we are Bulldogs. That's real important to me. That family feeling that you have, and to be honest with you, I felt like a surrogate father to a lot of my players. As they were, I treated them like my sons, and I guess my brothers when I started out, but eventually I started treating them like my sons, and So that bond that you have is just, that's what it is for me.
And it's a bond that will never be unbroken. But Coach, I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time to be our first ever guest on this podcast, Bleed Blue. And it was great to see you again. And I miss being in Weatherford. That's a second home to me.
It was great to see you, Haley, and please stop by and come see us. We'll be playing in the spring, so come see us. Can't wait to see you.
Can't wait to see some Bulldog athletics here in the spring. But again, this is our first ever podcast for the Bleed Blue podcast. We will try and get weekly updates for you guys at home to get some sports in your lives as the COVID-19 pandemic has taken over. But again, the podcast Bleed Blue will be a weekly thing, so we will see you next week with our next guest.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Bleed Blue, the SWOSU Athletics podcast. To learn more about Bulldog Athletics, visit us on the web at www.swosuathletics.com. And as always, go Dogs. Subscribe to Bleed Blue, the SWOSU Athletics podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.